this is Valerie Lindquist, and I am doing a step-by-step on the basics of perspective. First off, you do need to have certain tools. T-square and a triangle are a must. I always find it odd when I see perspective videos that do not utilize tape when putting everything in place. I always fuzz up a piece of tape on some clothes and then line up my paper while using the T-square. The T-square is butted up against the edge, making sure that it's nice and straight, lining my paper up. I'm going to go on all four corners after I fuzz my tape and tape it down. This way I know for sure that my paper is parallel to my table, and I can actually use my T-square appropriately. What does parallel mean? Parallel are lines that run or move in the same direction but are always separated with each other. They never meet. Perpendicular lines, which I'll be using during my demonstration, are lines at a 90-degree angle, a right angle. Now, when working with this, one of the things I always do with my students is I always take them out into the hallway to actually give reference to what perspective looks like in real life. One of the things they never think about is our horizon line. A horizon line is where the sky meets the ground. Oftentimes I've seen kids when they were little and they would do drawings where they'd have the grass and the trees, put a little knot in there, of course, and then they would color blue straight across on top. And they never filled in this area because they couldn't think about how the horizon line actually does meet the ground. This is an example of the horizon line. On that horizon line, we can put our vanishing point. Vanishing point is where all the converging lines go to in order to indicate perspective when doing a drawing utilizing one-point perspective. So this horizon line, how it looks, it's actually at your eye level. So for drawing, we have people, it's not necessarily that everything rides up right on here. So I wouldn't necessarily have to draw a tree right off of this line. You know, people actually exist in other places, and considering more than just one individual, coming closer to the viewpoint and to the camera, you can kind of see how the horizon line would work with perspective. Simply put, I have done a horizontal line, usually I have my T-square, making sure it butts up against this edge. I'm going to put a vanishing point right here in the middle. I will now, above my horizon line, draw myself a square or a rectangle. I'm not going to actually go and measure it or anything. Utilizing my right triangle and my right edge, 90 degrees, and doing perpendicular lines, I'm going to set myself up with a square. Having this floating above, I'm going to then rotate around my object. We'll start in the upper left-hand corner and see if it actually reaches my vanishing point. Taking my connection here to one of my edges and then making sure I connect to my vanishing point, I can draw this. Now technically you can take and bring your converging line, that's what we call these, all the way to the vanishing point. As I rotate clockwise around, I go to this edge and I notice I cannot draw there. I'm going to hit my object. So I rotate to the next edge. At this edge, I can draw it. So I will draw it to my vanishing point. Then my last corner, rotating, I notice connecting to my vanishing point that I can draw this one too. We've got a bunch of converging lines going on. We need to connect these converging lines. This is a rectangle. On the back side of my object is another rectangle, and I need to keep that in mind because when I'm connecting my converging lines, I have to have a line that is parallel to this line. So I use my T-square, line this up, and bring it over. I connect one converging line to the next. My last converging line that I'll be connecting is a horizontal line. And this is where a lot of students will fault, where they don't think along the lines it has to be the same edge. So if it's a horizontal line, this has got to be horizontal to connect. Vertical, vertical. And I think that's where some of my students end up having problems. And this is just a basic introductory of perspective line.